Hello and welcome to the Ask Dr. Pickell show, where we help people find answers to chronic health issues and chronic health conditions. All right, so today I want to talk about some interesting information that maybe should be in the news, but probably will never be, and some interesting stuff. So basically, a bunch of doctors from around the world have, or let's even call them scientists from around the world, have basically said, hey, vitamin D is one of the biggest things in dealing with this virus. Vitamin D is extremely important. The studies are proving it. So let's get the word out. So over 100 of these experts, these scientists, they all put together a letter to send to the world's governments urging the supplementation of vitamin D. Now, again, not one patient has come in telling me they've heard this on the news, but around September, we really started to notice the way vitamin D was showing such protective benefits. Some studies were starting to really evolve around vitamin D. And there was a study done in London or in the UK, and basically it was a good study and it showed the effectiveness of vitamin D. But after that entire study, the government's recommendation for vitamin D was 400 international units, which is extremely low. And so the doctors are like, hey, great study, but your recommendation, why are you only recommending this amount after all those studies? So even this Dr. Davies, who is like one of the head guys at the Imperial College, said, hey, this is too small of a dose. We need it higher. And again, I don't think much was done about that. And, these scientists, what they're saying is, hey, it should be at least at 4,000 international units per day, and possibly up to 10,000 international units per day, especially in cases where there's severe deficiency. I mean, if you go get your blood tested and your vitamin D level, I would say is below a 30, that's severe deficiency. So again, getting that up to normal levels is very important. Now, again, in these types of videos, I'm not telling you go out and take a bunch of vitamin D. You need to get tested, find out what your doctor says. We have certain recommendations per patient based on what their blood test shows. And because some people absorb vitamin D real easily, some people even have vitamin D receptor polymorphisms. They have genetic issues that don't allow them to utilize vitamin D as well. So it takes a lot higher dose to get the vitamin D into their cells. So again, you could fall on any of these spectrums, and depends on how much sunshine you get. There's so many factors that fall into your ability to utilize vitamin D. And if your immune system actually is already having problems, or if you have an autoimmune condition, you may need higher dosages of vitamin D. But again, you want to monitor that too via blood to make sure it doesn't get too high. So always ask your doctor before taking a lot of these things. So on December 7th, there was an organization that just kind of upped the ante by publishing this open letter and providing research details, saying, hey, here's the research, guys, and then kind of challenging these world leaders to follow the science on vitamin D. Now, this letter says, hey, everybody worldwide increase vitamin D intake. And then, of course, every person that signed this letter, all these scientists were saying, hey, I'm at least taking 4,000 units myself or more. And at the time, the letter, there was about 120 scientists, these member scientists, and but more continue to add their signatures to this because the research is profound. Now, these are, professors from all over the world, doctors from all over the world, some very big names in medicine and research. And what they saw was the higher vitamin D blood levels are associated with lower risk or lower rates of the SARS-CoV-2 infection. And the higher vitamin D levels are also associated with, let's say, a lower risk of a severe case, meaning the people who maybe even had coronavirus, went to the hospital, their risk of turning into, hey, I need to go into intensive care or something else, really dropped tremendously with vitamin D. And then the intervention studies indicate that vitamin D is an effective treatment. So, we're seeing all these papers revealing this biological mechanism that vitamin D influences coronavirus, COVID-19. And, the scientists involved in this, they're noting global patterns, they're noting risk factors, and they're saying, hey, vitamin D along with this matches precisely due to its impact on immune function. And in many cases, the way it affects the immune response could entirely deal with the virus's invasion before it takes hold. So pretty darn important. And so, in fact, I even, let me pull it up here. See if I put some of these things they cited on here. The first one, again, this is the letter up at the top urging the supplementation. That was December 26th. There was expert testimony to Congress, which I never heard about. It was never in the news. Americans deficient in vitamin A, C, and D, and the mineral zinc are all showing, hey, we can use these things to help. And then over 80% of COVID-19 patients have vitamin D deficiency. Now, this Spanish study is pretty interesting because this study was originally tried in another country and they weren't going to allow it. So they went to Spain and they did the study, and it's fantastic study on vitamin D. And then another one, study finds elderly patients taking vitamin D supplements more likely to survive COVID-19. That was November 2020. Synergy of vitamin D and K shown to lower the risk of all-cause mortality. People don't die as often when they're taking vitamin D and K from this virus. Study links vitamin D deficiency to 54% higher SARS-CoV-2 positivity rate. So again, this shows, hey, if you're deficient in vitamin D, more than 50% chance you're going to have it. So again, getting up the vitamin D makes 90 difference. And this is just a small amount of these studies, but these are some of the important ones here. So vitamin D, pretty darn crucial for this issue. And again, dosages can vary per person on what you need. So ask your doctors, or if you're a patient of ours or you want to be, we definitely can find out where your vitamin D levels are at and how much you need, what you need. But definitely this nutrient, and we've known this for a while, but trying to hammer it to the world and tell them over and over, hey, this is so important. I hope we see more of this in the news and in the media, the importance of this information. All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed today's information, and spread the word. Share this, because a lot of people don't realize or even know that vitamin D is so crucial. A lot of people do not know that there's alternatives for their health that aren't based on the commercials they see on television. So share this information, like us on, and share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, or tweet it, and then subscribe to us on YouTube and send it forward. All right. Okay, everybody have a wonderful day, and God bless.